Welcome to a new episode of HomeKit Insider. This is your host, Stephen Robles, and as you may have already guessed, Mr. Andrew O'Hara is not with us today. He'll be back soon, but we have a very special guest, returning guest. He's been on once before. Incredible YouTube channel all about smart home and HomeKit stuff. A great Instagram follow as well. Shane creates there, but Shane Whatley is here today. Thanks for joining us, man.
Hey, Stephen. Thanks so much for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's awesome. And, you
and there you go.
We already got Siri.
Siri's responding to me for some reason.
That's hilarious. We already got Siri talking back to you. But it's great to have you, man. And, when I think of HomeKit and smart home channels, like you have a just incredible resource. I know you crossed like 100K subscribers last year, too, which is awesome. Did you get the plaque yet? Did you get the plaque from YouTube?
I did. Yeah, I got the plaque and everything.
What happens when, hopefully one day I'll experience this, but like what happens? Do you get an email? Do they reach out? Do it just comes in the mail? Like what happens?
Yeah, you get an email. They shoot you an email with something you have, a little link. You have to go fill out a form or something, and then they'll send you one a little while after. I'm sure you'll get one. Your channel awesome. is really good. I've been enjoying it lately.
Oh, I appreciate it. Well, but yeah, that's very cool. We'll put a link to Shane. So we're going to talk about his automations video too, because he had some users submit automations, and it's amazing what people think up. Especially when it comes to smart home and. So we'll get to that in a second. We will hit some news real quick. We want to do some 5-star shout-outs. We give shout-outs to our 5-star reviewers in Apple Podcasts. And so Peter Asport from the Netherlands, listeners all the way around the world. Greek Pita Dre, that's cool. Greek Pita, I like it. And R. Sueño from the USA. So thank you for those 5-star reviews. And we also had a lot of listener feedback. Shane, I'd be curious your thoughts on naming conventions in the HomeKit space. Because, as we move on, like Apple is really moving away from HomeKit as the overarching name for its smart home stuff. And it's really going towards that Apple Home branding. You'll see Apple Home on different products. And so you, have intelligently named your channel after yourself. So this might not affect you as much. But we are HomeKit Insider. And so we asked our listeners what they think of, do we need to change from HomeKit Insider to something else? We had a ton of response, a lot on Mastodon, actually. People said, yeah, just go with Apple Home Insider or some other Apple Home conjunction. But as you talk about your smart home stuff, like on your channel, HomeKit just kind of comes naturally for us who've been in it for a while. Are you trying to change to like Apple Home as how you're referring to it? Or do you plan to try and use that terminology more since Apple's kind of pushing it?
Yeah, I am. I actually have some intro graphics on my channel, and then there's some other places here and there. And then just, talking through my channel, I always reference HomeKit, and I still do when I'm just kind of talking. But yeah, for my intros and stuff, I have kind of switched to using Apple Home because, that's what Apple is using. That's what you're going to just start seeing everywhere. And it's an adjustment for us, but I think Apple Home Insider has a good ring to it.
It does. Yeah. Well, I'd get new artwork or something, and HomeKit is still like the underlying architecture. It's just like UIKit and ARKit or whatever other developer, languages people use. And so it'll still be around. Those HomeKit originals, those of us have been doing it for
sure. I think it's a good move. I thought they should have done it a long time ago because it's just for those people who are just getting started. Most people don't know what the heck HomeKit is. So just to get it into more homes, Apple Home just sounds a lot more inviting, I feel like. For sure.
Yeah, I'm always curious what they use in the keynotes. I feel like the last couple of keynotes, Apple's just been talking about Matter. Like that's kind of been their big Matter. And it's like, have you had any experience with like Matter devices where you're like, wow, this is a Matter device and it has done something special? I don't know.
I've had some experience with Matter devices. It's usually quite the opposite. I'm usually slinging some curse words,
really
getting frustrated. Yeah, I did a video not too long ago on my experience with the Matter devices I have been using, and it's just early. I think a lot of this stuff is going to smooth out. I'm still very optimistic about it, but for those jumping in real early, it's not all smooth sailing just yet.
Yeah, I've not done it yet. I've seen, again, like you're saying, a lot more frustration. There's like a Matter plug that's out now that everybody's getting and trying out, and we'll see. It still has a long way to go, and we're just on plugs right now. I think that's like the main Matter device. But well, let's talk about a little bit of news. Get your thoughts on some of these new things. Our friends at Aqara, they actually have announced some new products for mainland China. And here's the thing with Aqara, a lot of times they'll announce devices. Some never come to the U.S., but some do. And so hopefully some of these do. But 4 big products they just kind of teased. One is actually a smart door. We'll get to that in a second. There's a smart door, a new scene panel, like for the wall, a presence sensor, which we've been hearing about a lot, and we'll get to that. And they're also going to do a light strip. They've never done a light strip. We have other HomeKit light strips, but that's pretty interesting. This door, this V100 door, I couldn't tell if the door actually will open itself or if it just has like a smart panel lock and like peephole. And so basically there would be like a virtual digital peephole. And so if you had a smart door, I could see this. I can't imagine a hotel spending tons of money on like equipping their entire building with this. But an electronic peephole, you could see it from your phone probably, be able, if someone knocks or rings whatever doorbell. And you can also have the smart lock as well. And apparently this is like a category in HomeKit that you can do. Like smart doors are already a thing. So smart door, I don't know if that'll ever come to the US. But I don't know, would you retrofit your house with a smart door, Shane?
Hey, I wouldn't. I would consider it, I'm sure, for the right door. That's interesting. I hadn't seen this one yet, so that's news to me. That's quite interesting. It reminds me of something I saw at CES. There was some sort of smart door at CES it was a different brand, but that would be a first for me.
Yeah, this one does also have facial recognition, so that would be interesting. You'd have NFC for the lock, plus whatever HomeKit, and then facial recognition. That'd be interesting.
Kind of like a camera and lock built in, probably, huh?
Right, exactly. That's basically what it is. And then this is a new scene panel. This is going to be the S1 Plus. And we haven't seen a panel from Aqara here in the States, but they always look super nice. I mean, this looks super clean. Be able to control your smart home from a panel. I have not ventured into this world. I know Andrew has some brilliant smart panels, and some people, I think you mounted an iPad somewhere in your house for smart home control. Isn't that right? You have something like that?
Yep. Yeah, I got my wall mounted iPad, and I love it. It's kind of the best solution we have for home, for something like that for us HomeKit folks.
Do you find that other people also use it, or is it mainly you, or how much use do you get out of it?
It's mainly me. Yeah. So I did an update video on that a little while back, and I actually thought my family members, that was kind of what I told myself anyways. I'm doing it for them, but I think I really just thought it was cool. And my wife did admit, she did admit that she likes the way it looks. So that was a win. She said it looks cool, but she doesn't really use it. It's really just me. But it's nice to have. She will use it for some, one or two things, like to start the vacuum or something like that. But mostly it's me going up there and just using it to check things.
The vacuum, which vacuum is it?
I was using the Roborock S7 Max
V Ultra.
I don't know if I got that right.
Yeah.
You know the one.
Yes.
I was using that, and I've also been using the Roomba, so I'm going back to the Roomba now, integrated through Homebridge.
Right. I was going to integrate my Roborock through Homebridge, but I think it was going to take a lot of XML fiddling, in the actual code. Did you actually get in there and do that?
No, you can actually do it without a whole lot of coding. I'm trying to remember. There's another plugin that I had to use to get the to get the ID or something, and then it takes some tinkering to get the rooms all situated if you want to be able to automate based on the different rooms. But it can be done fairly easily. I'll shoot you an email with the plugins and stuff that I use if you want to check it out.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'm sure our listeners, I know we have a lot of Homebridge users, and I waffle back and forth. Sometimes I'm like, Homebridge, and I'll try to get every device in my house in there, and then I'm like, I don't want to mess with this anymore. So
honestly, with the Roborock, they have the Siri integration with Siri shortcuts, and that was so good that's probably all I would have needed. The only reason, honestly, that I put it into Homebridge was so that I could use it on my wall-mounted iPad with this little app that I'm using. So funny enough.
No, and the Siri shortcuts are good, but yeah, the Homebridge is maybe we'll talk about that later. The other Aqara thing I wanted to mention, so light strip, we don't have a picture of that or anything, but this presence sensor, I've been excited for presence sensors to become a thing more here in the US, and for our listeners to remind them, you can have motion detectors, like you have the Hue Motion, the Eve Motion, I have a ton of those, and you can program the motion sensor, but the problem is if you want to have automations where like lights turn off when there's no motion, you might have someone sitting on the sofa reading and the lights turn off on them because the motion sensor doesn't see motion. And so a presence sensor would solve that because it would know when someone's in the room, even if there is no motion, if someone is taking a nap or reading a book or whatever. And so we don't have a ton of presence sensors. I don't know. Do you have any presence sensors or occupancy sensors in your setup?
So I have a few occupancy sensors. I've thrown up air quotes because I don't know that they're really truly occupancy sensors in HomeKit. Excuse me. I think the only real one is probably the Aqara one. And I have actually been using the predecessor to that one, the FP1, I think it's called.
Yes.
And that's only available in China, but you can get them shipped over and stuff. And so I've been using one of those for a while, and it is awesome. So I'm really excited about the international version that's coming soon. I think they announced it at CES, so that'll be a great addition.
How do you use it in your setup? Is it a thing where, like, if there's occupancy, turn lights on, if not, turn it off, or do you use any other kind of automations with it?
Yeah, so I've really just been kind of testing it. I haven't really decided on, I only have one. I do know some people who have like 10 of these things throughout their house, and they're using them for those kinds of use cases. I will ultimately do that, especially once the international version comes. I've been kind of just testing mine though for the last couple months, mainly in my office, just to see like how well it works in my studio, because I sit at the desk, and I'm fairly still much of the time, and it works surprisingly well. I have it set to where it will like turn off some of these lights and stuff you see when I'm, basically when I exit the room, and it does really well. They never cut off on me when I'm sitting here. So,
oh, that is sweet.
Yeah,
man. Okay. Well, then I am excited. I'm still excited for it then, because I would like to do it. And it's also just like, just like my studio, I have an automation where I have a contact sensor on my studio door, and if the door opens, the light turns on, and that's good. Sometimes it's kind of annoying when I want to leave, and so I'll shut everything off, but then open the door to get out, and the light turns back on. And so, like, a presence sensor would solve that, because it would just, if I'm in here, just leave the light on. I'm excited to try it. It's good to hear that it actually works as well as is advertised.
And they have there's some really neat features in the Aqara app too. I saw a little demo of this also at CES. So I don't know if you've seen any of this, but it can detect multiple people in the app, and you can set up like zones, and you can automate even further using the Aqara app. So some pretty cool stuff there.
Whoa. That's pretty cool. I have been using the Aqara app more because they, you can program notifications, like for if a door is left open for a certain amount of time, get a notification. And it's just so much easier just to do it in the Aqara app than using, like, there are other methods like push cuts, and there are other like third-party apps you can kind of integrate. It feels fiddly. With the Aqara thing, it's just like, let me know if this door is left open for more than a minute. And boom,
I agree. It's so much easier. Yep.
It is. And it's super reliable. I have it on my studio door, so if it's left open, I get a notification. And I have it on a mini fridge, because we have a mini fridge that's like outside, have like sodas or whatever in there, and the kids sometimes will leave it open. And so I have a little contact sensor, and that'll let me know if the fridge is left open. I could say, hey, go remember to close the thing. And so just little use cases like that. It's nice. So, well, cool. I'm excited for presence sensors. So that's Aqara. Now, this happened, this is going to be like over a week ago as you listen to this, but I wanted to talk about iOS 16.4 Beta 1 came out, and it's a developer Beta 1, so it's still early. We're probably not going to see this publicly until mid to late March, because we usually go through several beta cycles. Some new features in there, things like new emojis. That's what causes everybody to update. There's new emojis. There's like a Safari web notifications on iOS, so websites can send you notifications through Safari now. But there's also a bunch of shortcuts updates, which is really cool, including like setting the always on display, or lock screen stuff. But there's one that I'm very excited about, and it is the intercom shortcut step. And so now in 16.4, once you update all your devices, your HomePods and everything, you'll be able to use an intercom step. And this way, intercom, Shane and I just talked before we started recording, we use it a lot, especially kids related, telling kids like, come for dinner, or come for this. But now you'll be able to create a shortcut if it's like a preset text, maybe like, hey, dinner's ready. Like you could just put that in a text block in a shortcut. And now you'll be able to add an intercom step after that, and it will play it on whatever intercom HomePods you have around your house. So you don't have to ask Siri, because sometimes that could be a little fiddly, and you don't have to go to the Home app and press the little intercom signal. You'll just be able to create a shortcut. And you could probably even create a master shortcut, like with a menu, to say like send, choose what message to send. Dinner's ready. Come inside, whatever messages, and then choose from a menu like what HomePods to send it to, what different rooms. And you could have like one master shortcut to just send messages around the house. I'm really excited about this shortcut. I use intercom all the time. My kids try to use it. They can rarely get Siri to send the message where they want. They end up sending it to the whole house. But I'm really excited about this. And you were saying, you're a big intercom user as well.
Oh yeah. It's when you have little HomePod minis throughout the house, it's great, yes. Especially with kids and stuff.
How do you usually trigger it? Do you ask Siri? Do you go to the Home app and press the button? What do you do?
I usually use Siri. Yeah.
Okay. When you want to intercom like a specific room, how do you ask Siri?
We're trying to dance around without triggering everybody's
say, hey, dingus.
HomePods.
Just say, hey, dingus.
I'll usually just say, who, intercom, Macy's room. And then I just say the message I'll just say intercom, Macy's room. Hey, it's time to get up. And it usually just does it, pretty smoothly. That works well for me. And then you can also do replies. I don't think a lot of people know that. So if you get an intercom, you can just say, who, reply, I'm up or whatever. And then my daughter doesn't really do that with the room, so she'll end up intercom and it'll go to the whole house.
The whole house, right?
But that's fine.
That's what my daughter is 6 years old, and she doesn't know how to do the specific rooms, so she'll just say, hey, dingus, intercom, and then she'll say the thing, and then it plays throughout the house,
Yeah.
Now, when you ask Siri, though, what device are you directing it towards? Is it a HomePod, your iPhone, your watch? Like, where do you ask?
Like, where am I sending the messages?
Yeah, like when you ask Siri, oh man, we're gonna set somebody off. Okay, but when you say hey dingus, when you're first sending, let's say a message to Macy's room, are you lifting your watch and talking? Are you like on your phone, or are you just saying it to a HomePod that you're near?
I usually do it to a HomePod that I'm near. Sometimes I will use my phone. If my phone's in my hand, I'll just hold down the Siri button and I'll use my phone sometimes. So it's usually either my phone or a HomePod nearby. Yeah, but I'm super excited about the shortcut integration. Like you said, I've already been tinkering with this and working on automating some of these like everyday use cases that I do every day. And even we can even take it further. Because I don't know if you've realized this yet, but you can you can take the intercom action can take input from the shortcut, which is great. So you can basically have dynamic intercom messages sent every day automatically, if that makes sense. So you can, just for an example, you can get the weather, the date, whatever, have that input to your intercom action and have that intercom message sent with dynamic information, which is pretty cool.
That's pretty sweet. Okay. Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. I for some reason, and this was a while ago, maybe a year or two ago, I found intercom, it wouldn't do what I wanted it to do when I was speaking to a HomePod. So like my practice now is every time I want to send a message, especially to a specific room, I open the Home app on my phone, I go to the room, and then I tap the button. But for you're saying it works pretty consistently now, like 90-ish%? Okay.
Yeah, it works really well. I like I said, I always, and even when I'm doing it on the phone, I'm always using Siri. So I never use the Home app to send an intercom. I always just use Siri either on my phone or on the HomePod.
Well, I will give it another shot. I'll see if Siri has improved and gets the rooms well and reply. I don't even know if my kids know that. I'll see if they can reply back to me. Also, though, in the 16.4 Beta 1, the fated HomeKit architecture is back. The architecture upgrade. It came in 16.2, I believe, or 1, and then disappeared because it botched up a bunch of things, including many of my switches. And now it is coming back in 16.4. Yet I'm not doing any betas on my stuff because the architecture upgrade blew me up the first time. And so I'm going to wait till 16.4 is actually out, and then I'll upgrade all my devices, and I'll see what it says, because I actually upgraded the architecture when it was first available. Like that one day when 16.2 or whatever was available and you could do it publicly, I did it that one day, and then they pulled it the next. So I did the upgrade across my entire home. So I'm curious if it's going to be like another upgrade, like will it prompt me to upgrade again in 16.4, or if will it just say like, yeah, well, you already messed this up, so we're just going to leave you alone. Like, I'm not really sure what I'll do, but yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, I would think if you've already upgraded, then no action will be needed. I think you're on it. You know, if you've done it, you're on it.
Right.
But
I'm hoping the fact that it was pulled and now being reinstated, it's because they worked out some bugs in it. And so whatever those bug fixes are, I want those bug fixes. And so if it's like, you know, change the architecture in the background, or maybe it'll just do it unprompted because I already approved it, you know, maybe they'll do it. But what has been your experience with the architecture upgrade? Did you do it like when it first came out?
Yeah, I did do it. For me, I guess I was one of the lucky ones. It went well for me.
It's fine.
I have not really had any issues with it. Yeah.
Do you have any Leviton switches specifically?
I do not. No.
Okay. That after several like updates that have bricked many devices, I have found that for some reason the Leviton Decora Gen 2 switches, which I have like 15 of them, those are the ones that continually disconnect. And for whatever reason, since the architecture upgrade, and now with every point update, like when I updated to 16.3.1 that came out a couple of weeks ago, it was like 20 accessories not responded. So I got to go around, you know, and I've reset them all. But you've been good, and you have a ton of devices, so you've not had an issue.
Yeah, I do. I've got a lot of devices. So are those switches Wi-Fi switches? Just curious.
They are Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I guess I'm one of the lucky ones. I know a lot of people have had issues with invites. I keep hearing that, like home invites and family members and stuff.
Yes.
So I hope all those, I think those issues came just during the upgrade process. So hopefully they've smoothed all that out.
Yeah, I hope so too. Invites, I think, were fixed in the latest 16.3.1 because my two kids, I could not get them back in the house for whatever reason. And then when we all updated to the latest public release version, it finally worked. And so they are in there. And one of the things that's helpful to get like your kids or whatever in the home is then personal requests. Like HomePods will then recognize their voice. You know, if they're not a part of the home, that whole personal request thing gets a little wonky because their voices are not being like heard basically or recognized. So we'll see. 16.4 when it comes out publicly, I'll let everybody know how it goes. But it's just the Leviton switches for some reason. I really like them. The Leviton switches have been solid up until recently. So I also love their scene controller. Do you have any like scene controller switches where you have like this switch controls a single light, but then there's also multiple buttons that you could like program?
Like a hardwired one or wireless?
Oh, well, either one. I'll hear either one if you have.
Yeah, so there's a few different wireless ones. I've got one on my desk right now. I've been testing out this guy. I don't know if you can see this, but this isn't out yet.
What
it's
is it?
a Thread one by Onvis. I've got, there's the Wemo Stage is a wireless one I've used. There's a few different scene controllers I've used. I do have one that's I think kind of like yours. I've been curious to try that one though, because that's native to HomeKit, I believe, which is pretty nice. I have one that's actually by a company called Zooz, and it's hardwired, and so you can control the main light. That's hardwired, and then there's I think it's called the Zen 35 switch, if I'm not mistaken. And then there's like 4 little buttons. It's a Z-Wave switch, so you have to have some way to get that into HomeKit. But that's probably the closest thing to the one that you're using, it sounds like. But I really like that switch a lot. Like I said, it's a Z-Wave switch, so you have to use something like Hubitat or some kind of Z-Wave hub that can get that into HomeKit.
Okay, is this it?
Yep, that's the one.
And so Zooz, Z-O-O-Z.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, very cool.
Yeah, and it's like I said, it is Z-Wave, so you'll have to have some kind of hub to get that into HomeKit. But that big button right there, I actually use that in my daughter's room too. So that big button can control the main light, and then all those little buttons you can program to run different scenes and stuff like that. I put little sticker icons on each one so she can control, light strips and different things.
That's pretty cool. So what Z-Wave hub, because we've talked about these before, there's like Hubitat and Homey. What hub do you use to get your Z-Wave devices into HomeKit?
So right now I am using Hubitat.
Okay.
And that it's still, the HomeKit integration is beta, quote unquote.
Okay.
So it's not going to be officially HomeKit certified at this point. Last I heard, they were working on that HomeKit integration or certification, sorry. And in the past, I used one called Thinka. So there's the Thinka Z-Wave hub, and that is still not available in the US. They were supposed to release it. It never came out in the US. It is available.
That was like 2 years ago, I feel like, because it's
been a while. Yeah. It is available in Europe though. So if you're in Europe, I'm pretty sure you can buy it. It's pretty expensive, but it works great. And that is that does support HomeKit officially. So they have the certification. And I'm not sure if Homey is available in the US either.
I'm not
right
sure.
now, but I saw Homey out there at CES. They've got a Pro bridge coming. There's some more bridges like that. I think there's the Hubs Pro. I'm not sure if Hubs Pro has Z-Wave. So I think we're going to see more of these kinds of like pro level hubs with Z-Wave and Zigbee and Matter support in the next probably 6 months or so.
For sure. Yeah, the Homey one, you can pre-order it, but not officially for sale. Thinka, like you said, available in Europe, but not here. So Hubitat is kind of the only one you could try like today if you're here in the U.S.
Yeah, and it's very affordable. I mean, I feel like it's a good price, and you can get all your Z-Wave products. Like I said, it's not going to give you that official HomeKit certification if that's important to you. But, I mean, if you use HomeBridge or something like that, it's kind of the same thing. And you can do a whole lot with that Hubitat hub. That's
pretty cool, yeah. But yeah, the scene controller, the Leviton scene controller, I really enjoy it. Just having those extra buttons, which you know what that's like, with that Zooz hub. But honestly, the controller is one that has stayed connected for whatever reason, like through all the updates. And so, this is what it looks like. It's the 4-button Leviton scene controller. Again, pretty inexpensive when it comes to especially because you're getting a smart switch. It will control a light that it's hardwired. Plus, you get the 3 extra buttons for scene, which is pretty cool.
That's nice. So is the top one hardwired, or
the bottom one is actually the light?
Okay.
Button. And then the top 3 are scenes, or whatever you want to program, or individual devices.
Nice.
And you can get this at like Home Depot and stuff. That's right.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. It's great to have those little extra scene buttons there.
Yeah. Let me ask you too, because I've been on a button kick. I've been putting HomeKit buttons everywhere, and I've been hiding them in places like around like cabinet corners to trigger stuff.
Oh yeah,
no one sees. What are your preferred HomeKit buttons? Just kind of like I have the Aqara one. Are you holding that up too?
Yeah.
I feel like the Aqara ones, man, they're so fast and nondescript, small. So yeah, what's your favorites?
Yeah, you can't beat the Aqara ones. If you already have an Aqara hub, especially, they work super reliably, you can't beat them. The only one that I would go with over this, and that's just in terms of the form factor, is the Flic buttons, just because they look really good. But as far as performance alone, especially if you're hiding them, I would probably go with Aqara all day. The Flic buttons just look really nice. I feel like they got that nice little tactile feel. So I do use a bunch of those also throughout the house.
Do you need a hub
trying to think
for the
if I
Flic
have
ones,
any
though?
other ones.
Do you need a hub for the Flic, or do they just?
You do,
connect?
yeah, and
Okay.
that's another downside with Flic. They're pretty expensive, and you do have to have a hub just for your buttons. So
right, because you can get 3 buttons, and the hub is like $150.
Right.
Which the Aqara one, like right now, $18 on Amazon for an Aqara button. And
yeah,
I don't know what it is. I mean, it's not Thread, it connects via Zigbee to the Aqara hub. So fast. I feel like of all the buttons, like it even beats out the Eve button a lot of times as far as speed. If I want to run a scene, I press that Aqara button and it's like a second.
Well, I think that Eve button, the Eve button is Bluetooth, I believe. So that would explain why that one is not quite as fast. I don't think they've released a Thread version yet. I was hoping they would.
Yeah, I think you're right. This is the Eve HomeKit, and yeah, it is not Thread yet. It'd be nice if it was.
Yeah, because I don't think they're selling that on their website anymore. They might be.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think they're just selling basically Thread devices now. Well, all their Bluetooth. I don't think they're selling any more Bluetooth devices on their website. Last I checked.
And the Wemo Stage Controller, I think, is the only Thread button style HomeKit device you can get right now. But I have just found that it is not as fast even than the Aqara. I think the Wemo Stage Controller is slower.
You really can't beat the Aqara one. I'm with you on that. It's great.
It's amazing. It has a little like circle, the sticky thing, so you could just kind of stick it on something. Yep. It's pretty reliable. So listen, Aqara is not sponsored this episode, but if they're listening, they are welcome to come on and sponsor. We'll just talk about their buttons. But anyway, that's cool. All right, last piece of news, and then talk about some of your automations. I want to cover, we've talked about these before because they were rumored, but now The Verge had an exclusive that the new Sonos Era speakers, they are coming in late March. 2 models, the Era 100 and 300. These are going straight for HomePod, competing with HomePod 2 that just came out. But when it comes to feature set, these new Sonos speakers really do well. I mean, not only are they AirPlay 2, so you could integrate them in your home, they're also Bluetooth. You can also, there's a USB-C line in. And so if you wanted to use them as a hardwired physical speaker to another device, you can do that. You can obviously get adapters from USB-C to like a headphone jack. So you could, they have a line in. That's a lot of people wish the HomePod had a line in too. These also have Wi-Fi 6. The new HomePod, I don't know if it matters as much, but it's on like that Wi-Fi 4 train. So these are Wi-Fi 6, Bluetooth 5.0, AirPlay 2, and they also have the spatial audio, quote unquote, or whatever Sonos is going to label that kind of virtual surround. The 2 different price points, you are going to be looking at $450 for the more expensive Era 300, which is probably going to be competing with the HomePod. So it is $150 more than HomePod, $900 for a pair if you wanted to do that. So I'm very curious to hear what these sound like, especially compared to the new HomePod. I know a lot of people will like that line-in feature. But where are you on speakers and such? I know you did the HomePod 2 video. Do you have Sonos speakers as well, or what do you like having around?
I do not have Sonos speakers. I hear really good things about them, but I have not used them. I'm pretty much just all HomePods in my house. Yeah. I do have like a 5.1 surround sound or something in my living room, but nothing super fancy. I'm not an audiophile. I like you did a review, I think, on the kind of comparing some of those. That was really good.
Thank you, man. Yeah. And the Sonos, I mean, they are incredible, but as you can see, like even from this, they're not inexpensive, so you are paying for that quality, I guess you could say. And so depending on how good these sounds, it'd be worth it if that USB-C in is good for you, but you're also not going to be able to use these, as far as I know, as like the Apple TV with 2 HomePod setup kind of thing. Apple TV has kind of reserved that home theater setup with HomePods as for it and doing the whole eARC thing. And there was some confusion. I've had people ask, like, what exactly is that? And so basically, if you have an Apple TV and a pair of HomePods is set up for a home theater setup in a room, the eARC will take other inputs that you have in that TV. Let's say you have like a PlayStation 5. It's in HDMI 2 on your TV, and your Apple TV is in that eARC HDMI port. You can use your HomePods and Apple TV to play the audio from your PlayStation. Basically, the Apple TV will act as like that audio return device. The Apple TV will then stream the audio to your HomePods. And now whatever devices you connect to your television, whether it's a game system, maybe it's a cable box, your HomePods can act as the audio player for all of those devices. There have been some reports of like latency, especially with video games. You know, if you do kind of like a first-person shooter, I imagine there's going to be some kind of latency because you have to think the signal is going from your PlayStation through the TV, through the Apple TV, and then wirelessly to the HomePods, because that's the only way the HomePods can get a signal. So that you might experience some latency, but I think the Apple TV does try to like do the math and maybe try to like preempt some of the audio as much as it can. But do you have any HomePods in that kind of home theater setup?
Yeah, that's kind of the selling point for me. So I just started doing that with the new HomePod 2s. I wanted to do it with the old ones, but I've never got two of them to set up that way. I kind of always wanted to. So when the new one came around, I was like, all right, I'm going to finally do it. And I've been using that. I'll definitely set that up I'm kind of redoing my studio. So I'm definitely going to have that permanently in here. That's, like I said, kind of the selling point for me with the HomePods. Plus that Siri integration, you know, is nice.
Oh, yeah. The new HomePods too, that Siri is fast. I mean, I've been using Siri more often here in my studio because I had an OG HomePod and that thing was just slow. I mean, I would ask it to run a scene and it'd be like, I'd go get a coffee. But now HomePod 2, like they're on the money. And so it's a renewed sense of enjoyment of triggering HomeKit scenes through Siri that way. So it's cool. But we'll see. I mean, we'll get more info probably, hopefully, from Sonos pretty soon as we approach launch, a little over, or maybe just a month away from those speakers coming out. So I want to talk about automations because Shane's, one of his latest videos was these awesome home automations. And he actually had like users send in, that was a crazy one. He had somebody with a TV mounted to the ceiling, and he ran an automation where whenever the TV turns on, this TV lowers. I said, these are some serious automation users. I mean, that's even beyond me. So really cool video. We'll put a link to this in the show notes. But from that video, and then also just from your house, what are some of your kind of favorite automations that you really make? It feels like a smart home is worth it when you can do these things.
Yeah. Well, so I guess first from that video, that was just a lot of fun to see what other people are doing. You know, I'm always kind of talking about what I'm doing in my house. So it's really, you know, we all use our smart homes and just live our lives differently. So it's really cool. And I feel like, inspiring to see what other people were doing. So that video was a lot of fun. And there was just some awesome ones. The motorized TV was great. Really creative solution. He was using some SwitchBot integrated, SwitchBot button pressers integrated into HomeKit through Homebridge, I think, to control that motorized mount, which I thought was really clever. And it just comes down automatically when he turns the TV on. So that was really cool. The one that kind of blew me away more so than anything was the ability that this guy had trained his dog to use a HomeKit button. I don't know if you remember that one, but I think it was the Eve button, and he he trained his dog to press a button when he needs to go out, or she, I think, when the dog needs to go outside. And this viewer, I believe he is hearing impaired, so flashing the lights throughout the house was, you know, a way to kind of signal him that the dog needs to go out. I thought that was pretty incredible. And then the Tesla one, that kind of blew me away also. This
is the dog one. And so it's like all the lights flash when the dog presses the button. Yeah. It's wild.
The dog actually walks over there and presses the button.
It's awesome. And what was the other one you just said?
The Tesla one, that kind of blew me away. So someone integrated their Tesla into HomeKit through Homebridge, which I don't have a Tesla, so I didn't know you could even do that, but that was pretty awesome. And the automation was, I guess sometimes they forget to leave the trunk open, so they have an Aqara door sensor on the garage door there that leads into the house, and if they shut the door and the trunk is still open, it'll automatically just close the trunk. Crazy. Like you see there. Pretty crazy.
And I guess you can you can connect a Tesla via Homebridge to HomeKit. I think that's how they were doing it. Mm-hmm. Wild. Yeah, so one of the automations I actually learned from you, an older video, was the Bulldog water shutoff valve for like a house plus a water leak sensor. And so basically what you could do is you put like an Aqara water leak sensor or an Eve water guard, and when a leak is detected, you can actually have the Bulldog shut off the water valve to your house. This way, if there is a water leak, it would stop the water. And I think one of your viewers had set that up as well. Do you still have that set up in your house? Do you run that?
I do, yeah. Yeah, I love it. I think that's a great, I mean, it's not one of the, you're not showing your friends something like that, but just the peace of mind, you don't really get the cool factor, but having that peace of mind to be able to shut off the water instantaneous when, a leak is detected anywhere. I mean, I can have, an Aqara water sensor in my attic or something, and then shut off the water to the whole house. And yeah, it's great. I'm using right now the Bulldog. They have a Z-Wave version and a Homebridge version. Wi-Fi version. Wi-Fi. And the Z-Wave version, I actually have into HomeKit right now through the Hubitat hub we were talking about earlier. The Wi-Fi version, I've tested that also. You can use that directly with Homebridge, so you don't need a hub or anything. If you use Homebridge, you can get the Wi-Fi version and put that into HomeKit that way. But yeah, there were some really good safety kind of automations that people sent in, which is really cool. Like, just some that I actually need to set up myself, like things to do when smoke detectors go off and, other things like that, which are really, really, really smart, I think.
Do you have any HomeKit specific smoke detectors or any that you've gotten into HomeKit through like Z-Wave?
So I do have a Z-Wave one that I put in, again, using the Hubitat hub. I also have, I don't have any like native HomeKit smoke detectors in the US. There's not really a lot of options for that. Yeah. Right. I tried one years ago, wasn't super happy with it. So I'm just using dumb smoke detectors. And actually something that I did was, so I use the Abode security system. I'm sure you're familiar with that. And they have a device, it's called a, what do they call it? It's like a smoke detector monitor or something like that. Basically, it monitors kind of like the HomePods will do once we get that update, but it basically monitors for that sound of a smoke detector going off. Right. And that pairs to my Abode hub, which does support HomeKit. And so that actually shows up in HomeKit as a smoke detector. Oh. So what's kind of cool is I can set up automations around that. So basically, if any of my dumb smoke detectors go off, they should trigger that in HomeKit, which I can then run automations off of.
That's a great idea because we built this house last year and I didn't think about smoke detectors going into it. And, the smoke detectors now are on like this like whole home system where if one smoke detector goes off, like every smoke detector goes off in the house. And however that's configured, like I don't want to mess with the wiring or anything. But this would be the ideal answer. Like just set up a sensor to hear if there's a smoke detector. And then, it's very cool. And you've been,
soon our HomePods will be able to do that as well.
That is true. That is true. Now, last question for you, because Abode, we get a lot of questions about security systems, and we always mention Abode because it's really kind of like the only full HomeKit system you can get. So did you get the Abode system and then like do all the contact sensors everywhere through Abode and kind of go all in? And how's been your experience with that?
So I like Abode for the security system. It's not perfect, but it's as far as a true security system, like you say, it, has cellular backup. You can get professional monitoring and all that if you want. So it has all those things. I really like that I can use a keypad with it. So I've got the keypad, where we can punch in the code. So it has all those, and it does work with HomeKit. I basically changed out all the sensors on my main doors, like my entry access points to the house, like front door, back door, garage, all that kind of stuff, so that they would work with the security system. And that's really the only place that I'm using the Abode sensors. They do support HomeKit, so you can still automate things off of those. But for all the other automations in my house, like closets and things like that, I'm usually just going with Aqara, something that's more affordable that still works well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and the Aqara sensors, I have several of those. They're just inexpensive, solid, can't go wrong. I do use the Eve one because that is thread. You can do the Eve contact sensor, and that works pretty good. But it is a much larger like sensor. I feel like the Aqara one is discrete.
Yeah,
and,
the Eve is good. I definitely have a few of those set up as well.
Yeah. Again, Aqara sponsor the show. I'm just saying. Basically, mentioned a ton of your stuff. But Shane, thanks so much for joining us today. I'll put a link to youtube.com/Shane Creates is the channel. Put a link directly to that automations video, which is really cool. Also, Shane's on Instagram, always sharing HomeKit and smart home stuff there. Anything else you want to direct people to or plug?
Oh, no, I think that's it, man. Thanks so much for having me. It's been fun.
Very cool. Yeah, well, thanks again. And listener questions we'll get to next time when Andrew is back. Keep sending them in. Send us your projects and all you got going on. And thanks for tuning in to Apple Home Insider. Trying the mouthfeel of that. Apple Home Insider. We'll see you next time.